I'll start with you, Elizabeth. Did the justices get the constitutionality question right?
So I think they got it completely wrong. You know, when we look at the Constitution, we look at the words, and the 14th Amendment protects equality, it protects liberty. And when you look at the history behind those words, we know that what they were trying to do was to protect an irreducible minimum of liberty. This was passed in the wake of the Civil War, when key rights, particularly those related to control of one's body, decisions about whether, with whom, and when to form a family, those rights had been denied to enslaved people. So it's incredibly important when the Constitution protected equality and liberty that it included this irreducible minimum of freedom to make those decisions for oneself. I think the court got it wrong when it said there was no right to abortion, which flows from those rights that I just talked about in the Constitution. And I think they also got it wrong when they talked about the importance of precedent, the decisions, Roe and Casey, that have been on the books for 50 years and affirmed time after time, and millions of Americans have built their lives and their decisions around being able to control their own destiny when it comes to these crucial personal decisions.
That's a lot of wrongs, Elizabeth. A lot of folks on the left upset about Justice Clarence Thomas's concurrence, and we can show you here what he writes, that nothing in the court's opinion should be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion. He continues, for that reason, in future cases, we should reconsider all of the court's substantive due process precedents, including Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell, ultimately pertaining to the gay marriage, contraception, issues like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think there's obviously outrage over ending the right to abortion itself, and then also incredible fear and concern about the next steps. Is the court going to strike down, as outside the bounds of constitutional liberty, the right to contraception, which has been recognized for a very long time? The right to decide for oneself, intimacy questions, that was recognized in Lawrence. The right to marry the person of one's own choosing, recognized in Obergefell. These are fundamental rights that Americans hold dear in terms of decisions about your own family life, your own ability to form a family. And these are decisions that we want made by the people themselves. We don't want government intrusion. And that's really what this question is about. Yeah, it's not scrupulously neutral to take away a right that millions of women rely on to make decisions for themselves. They shouldn't have to convince their neighbor whether or not they can or cannot have a child. That should be a personal decision. And I think, you know, it's all well and good for some people to say, trust us, we're not going there. But also we have statements from people saying we want abortion outlawed in every state. And that just, to me, is a different, you know, these assurances that all these other rights are not at stake. You know, honestly, that's not how constitutional rights are supposed to work. They're supposed to be guaranteed for all of us. And, you know, you should enjoy them no matter what state you live in, and whether you have the means to travel to another state or not.
Well, one thing is for sure, and that is this is not the end, this ruling, because we're going to have a lot of other legal challenges and questions coming from all of the states as it is applied in different ways all across the country. Carrie Severino, Elizabeth Wydra, as always, great stuff. We will have you back.